We have some amazing content for you today. Our fearless leader, Brian, is off doing his own thing, probably with Cardone or Tarek or some cool, awesome. And he wanted Alfonso, Suzanne, and myself to fill in for him. And I said, with pleasure. One of the things I love about Closers Club is helping everyone become more successful. And I think that is an important part of what we do. We create success in others' lives. We kind of live by example. And I think in doing that, today I'm going to teach you how to create your own success playbook. One of the biggest things, I don't know if a lot of you know this, but aside from real estate, in 2013, I started a dating business, and that also morphed into a success business. And so I coach people around the United States on how not only to become more successful in your personal lives, but also how to become more successful in your life in general. And it's interesting because a lot of the parallelisms in your personal life play over into your financial life. You know, what we focus on the most is what we create and attract in our lives. So in doing that, Suzanne, if you and Alfonso could bring up some people, the first question I want to ask the audience before I actually get into the content is, what does success mean to you? What does success mean to you, Alfonso?
So success, definitions of success to me is doing something that you really love to do and at your own time and your own convenience and your own pleasure. But everybody has different points of view of success. You know, some people it's financially, some people it's time. So to me, success is doing what you want, when you want, anytime you want, and not having to worry about having a boss. That's the definition of success to me.
What about you, Suzanne?
Well, I think success to me means to have the financial freedom that I want. I mean, that's the first thing. And then, gosh, my lifestyle has always been what I consider successful. And it is a combination. It's a combination between how I live, where I live, you know, what I do, what I choose to do. That it's more of a freedom. Success is 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 having the ability to make choices, good choices for myself, that work, that make me happy, and also do good things for other people and help other people. And it's a reward. Success is a reward in a lot of ways.
Very well said. Yeah, that of success. Can we bring up some people and see what their definition of success is? If you guys want to jump on stage, raise your hand, and Suzanne and Alfonso can bring you up. But in the meantime, let me reset the room. Now that we have a pretty decent audience, this is Closers Club. We do it every Wednesday at 7 a.m. We have Alfonso, Suzanne, myself, our fearless leader, bculhane. Best 90 minutes or your money back. We haven't had any refunds, so that's always a good thing. And we're here to basically help you guys become more successful in your life. I mean, that's the idea. Share wins. Christina, you wanted to say something. What's your definition of success?
Hey, Michael. Guys, good morning. Thank you for having me here. Just an FYI for Alfonso or Suzanne or Matt, to anybody bring people on stage, you have to make them moderators. That's just a little quick tip. Other than that, success to me is, I think Alfonso said it pretty well. It's just having that flexibility to impact people just on a genuine, authentic level, not worrying about the things of this world, like, for example, financial stresses, right? So success to me is having that all kind of in alignment, finances, family, relationships, and being able to serve my community and this planet, I guess, on a greater scale. That to me is just, that's like soul food for me, I guess.
Very good. Shante, do you want to say something? What's success mean to you?
Hi, good morning. Yeah, I kind of agree with what everybody's saying.
I don't know if your mic cut out, Shante.
Yeah. So for me, I have to go back to, Earl Nightingale, who defined success as the progressive or the ideal. And I think that's important to me because it, it makes success a more broad definition where anybody can achieve it as long as they are going towards something that they believe in and that they truly want to do.
That's good. I like that. Well, I'm gonna start off with giving you guys some of the golden tickets. So a lot of my coaching business, men and women pay me to kind of look at their lives, right? Define their lives, figure out where they can grow, etc. The first thing I want to talk about that you guys can chime in anytime that you want is how mindset matters a lot. I think you'd all would agree. Suzanne said it beautifully. A lot of it has to do with freedom, right? How do we create freedom in our lives to do what we want, when we want, with whomever we want? And a lot of that, the first definition is, what does success mean to you? It's about goal creation, right? What are goals in your life? If they're not written, if they're not spoken about, if they're not internalized, they become irrelevant because they're not going to be acted upon. And then, secondly, which is also equally as important, is how do you hold yourself accountable through the process of achieving those goals? If it's financial success or if it's helping others, becoming more successful in real estate, etc., what tactics or what skills are you actually contemplating and writing down, saying, yes, I am making progression in those things? But I'm going to leave you with something called the 5 principles of personal success. And ironically, this is tied well into dating. It's tied into financial success. It's tied into goal orientation. And the acronym I want you guys to remember is UABCD. UABCD. What does U stand for? So U stands for understand. You got to understand your past before you can better your future. Alfonso, what does that mean to you?
So,
Suzanne, what
so,
is that?
sorry. So yeah, the past to me is living your past. You can't be living in your past. Um, whether it was good past or bad past. So I tell people, go find the good memories and remember those. And the bad memories, we got to deal with them, right? So you don't want to be living in your past relationships, if they were bad. If they were good, I mean, take the good with the bad. But that's the way I see it.
Would it still be about choices, Michael, that you made in your past that got you where you are now? I mean, does that have anything to do with it?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the whole thing is, as children, we grow up in certain circumstances, right? It's that old nature versus nurture debate. What are we born with innately that makes us unique and special and different? We all have those skills. And then what are the skills that we learn in our lives because of our circumstances and because of those people around us, right? And when we understand those complexities and we go back to our childhood and how great it was or how shitty it was or how all around these dynamics affect who we are psychologically, we start to begin to understand and shape our future. But the truth is, the reason you have to understand your past is because we carry a lot of baggage with us as we move forward into adulthood. And successful people, I think, address those demons as adults and recalibrate their lives into a really successful, fun, energetic mantra and mindset. Okay, then I'll continue. The next thing I want you guys to think: address. A stands for address. When you talk about address, it's addressing your self esteem. One of the biggest things that I think a lot of people look at on their success is, how do you look at yourself, right? What's your self talk? What are you telling yourself when you wake up in the morning? What are the terms that you use to identify as adjectives of, this is how I feel, this is who I am, this is what I represent, and how are you sharing that with the world? Uh, Alfonso and Suzanne, if you guys could help me bring up some people to stage, I'd really like to hear what people feel as opposed to self-talk and self-esteem. And maybe Christina, you could help me too.
Yeah, I'd love to. Michael, so click on Alfonso's profile, and
Yep.
on the bottom it should say make moderator. So we
Got
can't
it.
bring
Got it.
people up unless, yeah, you have to
Love
do
it.
that for us to have that, a little
Love
bit
it.
of power to bring people up.
Yeah, if you'll do
Okay,
that for
yeah, I
me,
got it.
great.
I got it. We'll do that now.
Oh, good.
Beautiful. All right. Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, because this discussion is so much more powerful when people are able to, share and collaborate. How do you guys talk to yourself? What are some of the things that you talk about when you address your self-esteem in the morning? Alfonso?
So I like to wake up, honestly, and I'm very grateful in the morning. Like I wake up, I'm thankful for my bed, my blanket, just the little things, and so that you got to wake up with that kind of mindset, and I think the military brought that home to me because I'm living out in the field, 2 weeks without a shower, without a bed, without a hot meal. I learned to appreciate the little things, and when I started learning to appreciate the little things, the rest of the day, I mean, you just a win. It's just a win. So, I always tell my kids, be grateful for the things you have because you guys haven't traveled to other countries. And when you wake up with a roof over your head, a nice little bed, a nice warm blanket, you made it already compared to other people in the world. So that just puts me in a mindset where I'm thankful, I'm grateful, and that just projects my day. Like I rarely have bad days. I really can count them on my hand. So to me, it's all mindset, being thankful. Then I start my routine. I start my affirmations. I do some yoga, some stretching. I do cold dips. I work on my body and myself because, you know, I tell people information gets bombarded. We live in this information world where we're constantly bombarded with information overloaded, and it's hard to see, um, you know, see the bullshit and the real stuff. So if you stay grounded and appreciate the little things, the rest will follow. So that's how I prepare myself. It's funny. My kids are, I'm driving to school right now, and they're falling asleep, and I'm like, man, this is what Tony Robbins tells you to do: shake it off, yell and change your chemistry in your body. And they were kind of laughing because it worked. But I tell them, you want to walk into school all sluggish like that, or you're going to walk in with energy and bring it, bring the heat. And I started telling them, do you want to be the light of the party, or are you going to be the guy that brings down the party? So that's kind of, that's how I live. I operate with being happy and grateful, and just being happy, man. That's all. If you make yourself happy, you're gonna go a long way.
Powerful words in the English language. And you what you said actually had like so many gold nuggets that we're actually going to touch upon later in the segment. So I'm glad you brought all that up, but 100%. Suzanne, you want to add to that?
Well, what's so funny is in the morning when I wake up, self esteem is so important, but also getting out of self. And I mean, when I get up, I do not drink coffee, but I have a couple of friends. This is crazy. Every single morning we have happy hour, what we call it, 6 a.m. And we go to Dutch Brothers for iced tea. Can you believe it? But it's fun. We go, we drop, we're gone. We're gone 20, 30 minutes. I come home. I'm out of self. I'm up. I've seen the world is moving. It's happening. And it just kickstarts a great, great, great day. And then I swim at 8. I have a swim class at 8 o'clock up at the Biltmore, which really is just terrific for me. And I get to see some people. By the time I land, to sit down and work, which is about 9:30 or 10 at the latest, I am ready to go, and I can really plow through a few hours of really intense work. So I think that sort of lifestyle has really proven. I've been doing that for the last 2 years. A great thing for me. I'll change it up when I need to, but I think the most important thing about how you start your day and how you feel about things is just, for me, it's just getting out the when I wake up, just not sitting around the house.
It's so because actually, U stands for understand, A stands for address, and the third one, B, stands for build confidence with practice. And I think you're embodying that with your movements in the morning, Suzanne. Um, a lot of our self-talk, a lot of our confidence, a lot of our happiness has to do with the routines that we instill in our lives. And if they're positive routines and they're met with people that we care about and we love and we want to see succeed, a lot of that gets redirected back into the way we think about ourselves. And I think that's a big, big component. Christina, are you on or are you on the
I'm
phone?
here. I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah. Tell us
Awesome.
what does build confidence with practice mean to you?
You know, I've done a lot of self development work after going through a really, really difficult divorce 6 years ago. And what I've come to realize after rebuilding my confidence is it is so important to address the past, which I think that was but also to develop healthy habits. When you start your morning very strong with, I just make a checklist of things. And I like to look at life as a video game, right? When you master the self-care routine, when you master, if you have children, you master, taking care of your children and providing the basic needs, and that also goes into the financial aspect of it and emotional aspect. That fills my emotional bank, and I'm able to show up better in life for other people. I'm able to make an impact. I'm able to help people, which is my purpose, to help people. But every day I wake up and it's just like Alfonso said, you have to be grateful. Like, I didn't understand how powerful that was when you start appreciating things. Like the other day, my assistant and I were doing our 75 hard workout, and we were both kind of in a slumpy mood, and we changed it around by focusing like back and forth, what are you grateful for? And at the end of the workout, we were better, we were more energized, we were just like, okay, let's conquer the day. So being grateful, finding things to be grateful for. So like for me, my children, and putting that in perspective first thing in the morning, then taking care of my mind, my body, and my soul is super, super important. So those are my success secrets that I'm still mastering right now. Every day I'm adding more. When you think that there's not enough time in the day, add something else, like Grant says, and then you actually feel more empowered to take more action, to do more. And it's very, very, like, I don't know, exciting, because your mind tricks you. It tells you you can't, but you actually can.
That's very true. And you actually addressed the fourth one. So U stands for understand, A stands for address, B stands for build, C stands for calibrate. One of the most important things in life on your road to success is being able to calibrate all those things around you that you do not have control over. And what you can focus on, do. That's the key to the game. So you can calibrate your own reaction to negativity or problems or things that come into your life. How do you calibrate that in a positive way? And one of the things I always say when it comes to building your own success playbook is you have to add what works and take away what doesn't. And there's so many things in life you're like, wow, that really worked well. Double down on that. If the reaction
Good
or
morning,
the
Michael.
thing
Can you
that,
guys hear me?
yeah, go
Sorry.
for it.
I was trying to interject the second that I had full signal. I just wanted to kind of comment on what everybody has said so far, and that's absolutely true. Definitely, being grateful in the morning is one of the things that I have to do every morning. I mean, I'm grateful for a roof over my head. I'm grateful for, having hot water. I'm grateful for there being food in my fridge. And I tell my kids that every single morning, be grateful for what we have. Because, especially with all the disasters going on and everything right now, it can be taken away in the snap of a finger. But also to kind of elaborate on your UABCD for the calibrating, because we don't always have, great days. I mean, we might start them out great, but, things happen throughout the day that are out of our control. So one of the things that I actually do is every night before I go to bed, I think about what happened during the day and, the bad things, the negative things, And I just think, okay, well, what can I take from this? What can I learn from this? How can I avoid that next time if there's a way to avoid it? And I just kind of make a list of all the things that, I'm grateful for, that I could have learned or that I should have done differently, and taking those moments as lessons learned. So I just wanted to say that really quickly. This is Shantae, and I'm done speaking.
That's a great point, Shantae. Thank you.
Michael.
Yes.
So, my name is Leslie, and I was thinking about all of these and what Alfonso was mentioning about, determining and making a choice in how you approach the day. We all have backgrounds. We all have, betrayal. We all have the things that have been obstacles and challenges for us. One of the things to calibrate, and you make a choice, to find what serves you. We are in a magnetic environment. Everyone has good energy or bad energy, and we definitely can tell when somebody is just down, and then after your encounter with them, it is really hard to maintain your uplifting and positive energy because you just kind of absorb what everybody else has to put out there. And so making a choice throughout the day to have that the energy of optimism and gratitude, and being able to have the mindful conversations to choose what serves you and to lift you up, and keep choosing those things. Don't do things out of obligation. If things are, what serves you to the best and your highest good, and choose to do more of that. And I feel like as we go through the hard days that'll still come, the challenges that will still come, but when your mindset is right, all of those components, the understanding, the calibrating, and finding the tools to have in your toolbox to, let's say you have a really hard encounter, stop and do breath work. I know in some of the other closers clubs, we've been talking about doing breath work and bringing oxygen to the brain. And then it just, your nervous system just calms down. But having your own strategy to manage where your energy levels are each day allows you to face a lot more obstacles, and with more of a level head.
That's a very good point. It's funny, Leslie. Oh, did you want to jump in?
No, I was just going to say I 100% agree with that, man.
Yeah, no, it's powerful. And basically, Leslie, you kind of led me into the last point, which is D, and that's deliver a positive and engaging story. One of the biggest things in the human brain is we don't understand when people tell us to do something, but we all relate to positive, engaging storytelling. And one of the biggest stories that you're ever going to create is the story you think about yourself. And so, one of the exercises that I always tell my clients is write your obituary. As morbid as it sounds, write down what you want to be remembered for in 10, 20, 30, 50, 70 years. And then do a little reverse analysis on how you want to get there. So, with that, UABCD, remember, understand your past so you can better your future. A stands for address your self esteem. B stands for build your confidence with practice. C stands for calibrate by adding what works and taking out what doesn't. And D is about delivering a positive and engaging story. Hey, Jules, are you on?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, good. Okay, so I have a little guest star for us I wanted to bring up today. So the next segment I want to talk about is your body, because one of the things we talk about on Closers Club is you have to be grateful for what you have physically, but you have to work towards what you want. Julie Zander is a lifestyle expert, huge following on Instagram and other social media things. She has tens of thousands of people that she helps optimize their body. Jules, what are some things that you can add to the audience about taking your body to the next level despite your age so your mindset follows?
Oh my gosh, that is really a great question. And yeah, I think that we give up, or we think, oh gosh, I'm this age, so therefore my body is like this. And we make excuses because we go, well, I'm old, so therefore this is why I am the way I am. And I look at it completely different as that I am defying age and that we can be as young as we want, but that takes work. And all of that work that we put into will come and help you on the other end with your business, because you're going to be more energetic, you're going to feel better. So that adds to your positivity and all those kinds of things. So number one is working out. And I know so many people are so intimidated of the gym, of hard classes. There are so many extreme workouts out there. And I know, I mean, you talk to people, you go to the office and they're like, oh, I just finished Orange Theory. I just did this crazy workout. I just did. And I think the biggest take home on exercising is actually walking is the most under under approved exercise out there, and it's probably the best one. And so even if you can just get up in the morning and take a walk while looking at your emails, that is like the best thing that you could do for yourself. And that's a great way, is everybody's talking about how they get up in the morning, and maybe you're doing your affirmations while you're taking that walk. There's so many things that you can do. It doesn't even need to be some crazy paced walk. It could literally just be a walk. And so I really love doing that. That's my start. But the other thing that people are really forgetting about in optimizing the way their body feels, of course, food is super important, but hormone therapy, peptides, B12 shots. I see so many people that go to like Whole Foods and they grab, a big armful of vitamins and they pop it into their cart. And I mean, that's good. You're on the right track-ish. But how much money are you spending on vitamins that you're primarily just peeing out? And you don't know. You're like, okay, I know I should be taking vitamin C. I know I should be taking vitamin D. I know I should. But are you low on those things? You might be great on vitamin D, and so you don't need to take vitamin D, but you have no vitamin E. So we go blindly into these stores and we start taking all these vitamins, and we're not optimizing our bodies with those because we may not even be taking the right things. So I like to tell pretty much every single person that I meet to go get their blood work done, to find out where their hormones are. And men, every guy, literally every guy. Julie, my testosterone is awesome because I can get it up. I'm like, thanks for sharing. Yes, you might be able to get it up, but that does not mean that you have high testosterone. That might not be a side effect for you. Testosterone might, getting it up, you may still be able to get it up, but you might find that you're just fatigued, or you have brain fog in the middle of the day, or you're in a crabby mood. So those symptoms, things like that, you just feel lethargic, like you just don't care anymore. All of those feelings, and that's the men, but that's also women too. Women need testosterone as much as men do. I'm not talking steroids. I'm talking a healthy dose of what your body already has. And as we get older, we get depleted from some of these hormones, and that's what causes us to age. Menopause for women. Well, there's so many things that we can do now to keep those hormone levels even, so that we don't feel those major dives in the way our body feels, which I really don't understand for women. We don't test our hormones until we are in this major crash of we have no libido, we have no energy, we put on weight, or like I have this tire around my stomach. All of these things start happening to us. And that's when you go to your doctor and your doctor goes, oh, guess what? You're going through menopause. Let's see what we can do for you. Instead of, those of you who are on here that are in your 30s or early 40s, and men and women, when you go to your doctor and you get your hormones done at that level, find out where you're at, because then you can completely eliminate that huge crash. And I don't think they talk about it as much for men, but it's so important. So your energy level is higher. So your workouts are better when you go to the gym. So you can lift heavier weights. So you can gain muscle. So you can lose fat. So you have that drive to work the way that you want to work. If you're feeling like you're getting to the office every day and you're like, I love what I do, but I just don't have the energy, go get your hormones done.
Hey, Alfonso, quick question. Can you talk about your journey when it came to transforming your body?
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you guys don't know, Brian Culhane had a big impact. I always tell people, Pat Hayes changed my life at EXP. Well, Brian Culhane saved my life because, everybody here at EXP, we're building this amazing business. And, you start, you get, like she said, you get over your 40s and you think, oh, it's natural age. When I got into real estate, I weighed a solid 200 pounds. And every year you go to these caravans and They always have these tacos. They have all this food, and you start dabbling, and then you start forgetting about working out and just little things, right? So um, I just didn't feel right, and I always worked out, but I ate like shit. I ain't gonna lie, because I figured, it got me this far. I was in the military. I could eat a pizza and run 5 miles like nothing. But age caught up to me, and finally, I just looked at the mirror. I got really upset at myself, and this was past COVID. I was about 245, 250, and then after COVID, conveniently, everybody in the U.S. gains 22 pounds. Yeah, and they were right. They were right on it. I was at 275, 5'10", doesn't look good, middle age, single dad, and I'm like, you're going straight to the grave. That's what I stood in front of the mirror literally, and I got mad at myself, and I just, I was like, you're a Marine, you can't. What would your platoon say? I got into it, man, and I think I went into the past, and fought some demons, and I got right in my mind, and I said, all right, with all this COVID stuff, the news, the news tells you, go get food, go to your house, watch the news, stress out, eat, and it's a big cycle, right? Because you're at home and eating food. So that was it. I just said, I'm turning the news off. I can't save the world, and I'm just going to save myself and the people around me, because that's all I have control over. So, and if you guys, I'm taking my 4 mile walk that I do every day. So if I sound like breathing hard, that's what it is. But I took control of my life. I got mad, and I said, I'm done. And I got my little Fitbit. I wrote some stuff on my mirror. I still have it written down. And I just said, all right, I'm just going to move. No matter what it is, I'm just going to move. So I just started walking. I said, a mile, 2 miles. I started implementing whatever I ate. I don't care if I was eating a Big Mac. I just cut it in half. Boom, cut it in half. I started tracking stuff. I started pay attention to the foods that make me sad or depressed or slow, sluggish. And then Brian got me into cold plunging. I saw these guys, and Pat Hayes and Brian cold plunging. I'm like, what are you guys doing? You guys are crazy. You guys are nuts. I want to do it. And because I knew they were doing it for a reason. I knew that these are smart guys, right? So I knew they were doing it because it had some kind of effect. I didn't know what it was, but I'm like, I want to do what you guys are doing. So, Brian invites us to the Man Clan almost, I'm going to say 3 years ago. It was a small group of guys, and it was powerful, man. It changed my life. It really did. We talked about purpose in life. We talked about health. We talked about nutrition. Um, and finally I saw it. I just saw it. It was like, all right, if you don't have your life and your body in line, your business won't, and your family, it all ties in together because it flows. So if you don't have your health right, yeah, you might be getting away with you're running your business fine, but you feel it. And finally, I just said I'm done, and the weight starts coming off little by little. I would start going to the gym, um, drink my gallon of water, and that's it. Eventually, I think I got to like 230 pounds. I finally hired a coach, and that's us, right? We always say hire a professional, but we think we know everything. So I finally said, all right. And it's not that I needed a coach. It's not that I needed the accountability. That's what I paid for. I paid a coach 3 months, and he gave me my macros and everything. And I finally got down to the 215. But the energy and the stuff that has happened through the journey is the biggest part. Like, you really learn who you are, what makes you happy. I secluded, I went into kind of hiding, and I came back out. So it's pretty cool, how it feels, how people react to you, and the people that I inspired in the process, because I started posting on my social media, and I'm one of those private guys. I don't want attention, right? But I said, you know what? I'm going to put it out there for accountability, so that I don't want them to say, oh, there goes Alfonso. He said he was at the gym every day, and all of a sudden he's not posting. So that's why I post. And through that, I got a ton of people saying, hey, because of you, I'm moving. Hey, because of you, I'm jumping in cold water. And that is powerful, because Brian is a giver, and then the gift that keeps on giving. It's the ripple effect. So that's that's where I'm at now, man.
You hit the nail on the head, because the first thing we talked about was goal creation and holding yourself accountable. So my hat's off to you, buddy.
Yeah, man. We got to love ourselves, guys. We got to love ourselves.
Yeah.
We have one body, one life. Why not take care of it? And I'm not saying go crazy and don't drink alcohol. Don't do everything with moderation. Don't ever tell yourself you can't eat that. You can. Yes, you can, but just a little bit. So,
well, and the other thing too is, I know a lot of people want to share their story in regards to the body, and please do. But the other thing I stress too, if you guys have specific questions, style and working out and things like that, ask Lifestyle Jules as she's on the. Look at her Instagram. She has over 200,000 plus followers. Definitely an expert in the space. So please, if you guys want to ask questions or share, do so now.
I think this is such a powerful topic, and just taking care of the body and being in the Grant Cardone, Yelena Cardone space, having discovered and having struggled with food noise. I grew up in Belarus, where we had scarcity of food and starvation was just a huge part of my life. And then moving to America, where we had such an abundance of it, but not in a good way, right? So in a good way, good quality, I mean. So I had food noise and body image issues like growing up, and like my whole life I felt like on a treadmill or a hamster wheel, so to speak, where I'm trying to keep my body looking good. But as I got older, it's so important to feel good, and when you shift that mindset where it's not about the way you look but rather how you feel, it is so powerful. And then I know Brian's been doing all this stuff with Gary Brecka, which I got introduced to 3 years ago to Gary, and all of the methylation and the genetic testing and the blood work. It is so powerful, because now instead of like I'm doing a diet or a specific program, I'm doing something that is specifically tailored towards the way my body functions. And then I'm, process of elimination of certain things that are helping my energy elevate, or certain foods that cause discomfort in my body. So it is so powerful to understand how your individual body works. And I know Brian is a big leader, and delivers his message through his own experience of doing that. So I love that Julie is behind that also, because when you start focusing on the materialistic or the physical aspect of things of your body, you focus on the way you feel, the way your soul comes up, and the way you show up. You start to take care of that from a different angle, and you have faster results, just like Alfonso said, right? And then you start chipping away at it. And it's not like, oh, I don't see results right away. I don't care about that anymore. It's about the longevity, a lifestyle, and how I feel on a daily basis.
Can I jump in? Sorry, can I jump in real quick? You are so right on. And I think that's a really great thing that you said, is that if you just start worrying about the internal part of it, the external part happens.
Exactly. And it's so powerful. It's like I like that hamster wheel. I actually made a decision. I'm not interested in that hamster wheel of chasing something aesthetically, but rather, how do I feel? How does my soul, my mind, my body, my heart line up? And all those components, help the external happen naturally.
Oh, I love all this conversation, because mindset has been definitely something that we've worked on here locally in our area. And we have a group that's doing it. And Alfonso and Christina, like what you have just mentioned about having your insides aligned, the mental health is where you begin. And it changes the perception of how you view the food that you're eating. Is it going to serve me, or is it not going to serve me? Changes the way that you view who you surround yourself with. If you're looking around and the people that you're with on a daily basis are not making healthy choices for their life, their marriage, their work, you will never be inspired to be better. And I think Alfonso, as you share with your accountability, you know, on social media about your weight loss and your journey that you've been on in your health, you inspire other people because they're all watching. And in turn, even though they're not really in your core group of people, I think that what the saying was, you're the best of the 5 people that you surround yourself with, or something along those lines. I'm probably butchering it, but surrounding yourself with powerful people who are wanting to improve themselves, wanting to do the work for their mental health, wanting to just work through all of those difficulties, that's going to lift you up to the next level. And we don't need to chase that. We attract that just by the energies that we're putting out into the world and the people that we meet, especially in the Closers Club or, even in our local areas. It's keep an eye on where you're surrounding yourself with, and is it supporting your best self? And you're absolutely right. It starts within yourself, and then the rest of it just naturally feels better, and you're uplifted and you're inspired to do more.
And the universe starts moving the right people into your space and the wrong people out of your space. And when you're aligned with that, I'm just noticing it more and more now. Like, and I'm Christian. I believe in God, and I truly believe this is God at work when you find and align yourself. So the right people keep showing up. You make decisions to align yourself with people on the same mission, that journey. And just to kind of go back into the food space a little bit, I know, something that I've struggled, like when we're under like pressure, and I thrive under pressure, like sometimes I noticed eating frantically, right? Even if it's a healthy food, like that's one thing that like you have to be so self-aware that you're now, it's just like, I like to bring up Michael Phelps, right? Like he's won so many gold medals. Like where do you tweak to get to the next level? And you have to be so self-aware of things, stress is going to happen no matter what. How do you adjust it? How do you repurpose that to not have you sabotage the results of that optimal life? And being self-aware is so important.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Tony Robbins had an amazing quote. He says, the higher your energy level, the more efficient your body. And the more efficient your body, the better you feel. And the more you will use your talent to produce outstanding results for yourself and others. And I think that really ties into what we're talking about. Anyone else want to share or ask anyone any questions before we move on to the next topic?
Well, I have one more. Sorry,
Okay, go ahead.
The one more thing I wanted to say, and it was briefly touched upon, was food choices and what irritates your body. Food sensitivities is a huge thing also. So if you've been feeling sluggish and you're not able to do your work like you think you should, you might not have celiac disease, but you could have a sensitivity to gluten. You could have a sensitivity to dairy. You could have a sensitivity to a cucumber, honestly. And you might be eating eggs, something that you're eating daily that you have no idea is causing inflammation in your body. And that is also a really huge thing to figure out.
And also to add to that, Julie, is, I did all the blood work and to find out food sensitivities. And I will tell you right now, like I eat the cleanest I've ever eaten in my life. But I will tell you, I still have flare-ups. And that is not because of the food. It's because of the stress, right?
Yeah.
So if you're eating and your body's energy is not in alignment, that food is not serving you at all. So I make decisions when I'm under that stress is to not eat at all until I'm in alignment, because I'm only causing more havoc on my body.
Suzanne, you want to add to that?
Well, I'm just saying that it's funny about with the winners. We all stick together, and I was thinking about the group of men and women that I swim with in the morning, and we swim 5 days a week, and it takes a certain type of personality to do that. And collectively, when we're together, it just is so healthy, and I think that really propels me on to a better, healthier, greater day. And I do concentrate on eating clean. The older I get, the longer I'm on this earth, the cleaner I have to eat, and it's really, really, really making a difference in my life, to keep my energy level high. And so I love that we're all together here, because this today will propel every single person to have a better day because of this healthy group that we're with.
Couldn't agree more. It's very true.
100%.
Anyone else want to talk about body or that space before we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, biomechanics is a big thing. Once you kind of change your view on what your body is and you see it as a vehicle and a vessel, you really start, digging deep into each one of those pathways to see what you need to clear out, what you need to clean up. And so it's like you put bad oil in your car, your engine's going to break down. If your air filter's clogged up, your car's not going to get the air that it needs to fully breathe. So if you really start diving down into those pathways and start clearing those out, and because for everything there's a solution, your body is designed to heal itself and rebuild itself, and if you give it the energy that it needs to do that, it can do that. And if it has the oxygen to do that, it can do that. So everything is trying to steal that oxygen out of you, the inflammation, the air that we're breathing, like the water that we're drinking. You really have to analyze all those things because we're mostly made out of water. And if the water's not right, you're not going to be right. So if you really start eliminating those things and start focusing on what's there already, your body can start healing.
It's a strong point. Anyone else want to jump in before we go to the next topic? I got an endless variety.
Yeah, I'll jump in. It's funny listening to Alfonso's story because I have a very similar one, and this kind of touches on mindset matters. And I got up to 285 at one point, and kind of had the same feelings Alfonso did. Right, like I just hated who I was looking at. I hated how I felt, and I just started cutting things out, and about the same weight. I got to like 225. I stopped and I just found some accountability partners to push me in that right direction, and got down to 205. And, when we talk about mindset, I mean, it is the number one driving force of which direction you're going to go in life. Right. And it was I was listening to Christina talk about her divorce and everything like that, and how she had to make changes. And it made me want to jump in and just say something about that, because, every day we put ourselves, some people put their confidence in what other people think about them. And if I could give any big, huge nugget for everybody listening today, once you take that confidence back, you take that control back, and you put your confidence, and you control that, and you don't let anybody else control your confidence, that will be when you have that absolute freedom where you really build the person that you were supposed to come.
I'm getting chills, Justin. That's what I always preach too.
Yeah, wow. It's crazy, it's just, and we do, it's just the human mindset. Like, we want other people to like us, right? But, you're not going to appeal to everybody. It's just impossible, right? There's going to be people who don't like you. There's going to be people who love you, and they're all going to be talking about you. So that's what you have to take into account. Hey, if they're talking about you, you're doing something.
100%. Yeah. Well, the next topic I want to dive into, which ties into, we talked about the importance of mindset. That's the internalization of what you become, obviously, and then the body, which is always an amazing, debatable topic. But another thing, let's look at the externalities of what people see when they first meet us, right? And that's why I want to jump into wardrobe. And wardrobe is a real important part of success because it's the marker that people see with their eyes. Coco Chanel said it best: dress shabbily and they remember the dress, dress impeccably and they remember the woman. So, one of the things I want to talk about, which is probably a heated debate, guys, girls, what do you think is the power of looking good or feeling good when it comes to your mindset, body, and how others view you? Anyone want to chime in?
I think it's important how you look, and BC talks about it. We are walking billboards, right? We are a walking billboard, regardless if we want people to use us as a realtor, if they want us to join our sponsorship at EXP, or whether we're trying to attract another mate. I mean, you are a walking billboard, and I'm a believer that, the way you look, the way you represent yourself is a reflection of how you feel. And being in the military, that was one of the things that they drilled in us, especially in the Marine Corps, is you don't walk out with that uniform looking 100%. Like Irish pennants, make sure it's starched, make sure you have your lines and creases. And, that taught me. And that's why every time we went to other military bases, Janway Marines are coming through. They made a hole. All the branches treat us like kings for a reason, because we train and we look sharp. But yeah, looking sharp is really, really important.
I think also looking super put together builds that confidence. Like there are certain markers in my toolbox, or certain tools in my toolbox to help elevate and change my energy around, is getting myself put together. And I was growing up and very heavy in the Christian church, and appearance was very important, but it was like a tug of war of like, it's too, if too much is bad, too little is bad, so it was like that noise that had to be cleared up. But I acknowledge what works for me, and putting myself and getting myself dressed, doing my hair, my makeup, it's all part of my core being, and it makes me happy. It makes me feel good. It lights my soul on fire with positive energy, and it's something that I used to, again, the church noise was like, oh, it's bad. No, it's actually really, really powerful if you know everything that makes you who you are. And I think the appearance is so important, because it really shows how you show up. And I love what you said, Michael, about Coco Chanel. Like, that is so powerful. People deserve to see you at your best, whether you put on a suit or just a casual blazer and jeans, whatever it is, or you will show up more confident than when you don't make an effort on yourself. And people resonate with that, whether they like you or not.
You can't negate a first impression. You just can't. So when you show up to something and somebody sees you, in seconds, it's actually 0.2 seconds, somebody makes a impression or makes an opinion about you. And if you're trying to sell real estate, if you're trying to get somebody's business, no matter what you're doing, that first impression needs to be, this person is put together. That shows something. If you can put yourself together, that shows that you got up in time. You have a standard for yourself. You have a standard for your business. It says more than just, oh, she's a pretty person, or he's a put together person. It shows that you have a standard and a level of care. And that goes in every part of your work.
Yeah, and I think with kind of what Christina touched on, and I'm really glad she did on that, was I think it comes down to your personality, right? And so when I first, got into real estate, I did the whole dog and pony show, suit, tie, showing up to closings, and that just didn't give me what I was looking for, and that confidence. And I just felt way overdressed. You know what I mean? And so one day I went to this jeans and black shirt phase, and man, just the swagger I felt from that. I just felt good. I felt better. And that's kind of become my little thing, is where I don't dress up, to the nines anymore. I dress what makes me feel good. And, that gets portrayed onto my clients and the people that I'm attracting and, bringing into my inner circle. And again, some people, they might make that first impression like, oh, this guy, he's, look at him, carefree, doesn't care, blah, blah, blah. And then other people are just like, man, I wish I could be like that. So,
well, I don't think dressing more casual is showing that you don't care. Being put together is being put together. Looking attractive, coordinated, clean shoes, brushed hair,
right. No, absolutely.
Or it doesn't have to be a Chanel suit, but being put together and showing that you've put time into, whether it's a black polo shirt and a pair of jeans, but that you look put together. that says something.
Absolutely. But I wanted to throw in the whole personality thing, because it's not, some people like hear that and they're like, oh man, now I got to go get this $1,000 suit. Like, hey, just go find a nice t-shirt and jeans if that's your style.
100%,
But look
100%.
you.
That's right. Well, and on top of that, look, you have to be you. Different personalities attract different people, and so I'm not for everyone. Some people might say, she's a little too out there. She's a little too whatever. You're never going to make 100% of the people happy, or make 100% of the people like you. And you're right. You have to do you and be you all the time.
Absolutely. And that kind of goes back to my point, and like, don't put your confidence in other people, put it in yourself, and do what makes you happy, because that'll reflect the right people you want around you. Kind of like we've said 50 times during this hour, right?
Also,
And the other, oh no, go Shantae,
sorry.
go for it.
No, I was just going to say that to go along with that, it's not just the people around you, but if you have kids, you're also setting that example for them, to show them, that you love yourself and that you have that confidence. For a while there, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I just really didn't care what I looked like. I mean, I'd go to the store, no makeup, sweats, whatever. And then as I got into real estate, obviously that changed. But my kids, they always tell me, Mom, you don't always have to look so good. Mom, you don't always have to worry about your makeup. Mom, you look good. And it's, it could just be jeans and a nice shirt, but it's the finished look, and it's that confidence. And so, it goes also because it's running down to your kids. So that confidence can definitely reflect not just around those people, but, the family that you have around you.
Yeah, absolutely, Shantae. I'm glad you said that, because I'm just going to tell a really quick story and then I'll stop. But my kids had a birthday party to go to on Sunday, and my son wanted to wear his, Jack Skellington gloves and mask to the thing, and like, I'm not going to stop my kid from trying to express himself. Like, he feels good in that, Yeah, other people might find it weird, but he enjoys it, and he doesn't care what other people think. And you're absolutely right. You got to portray that. It goes even deeper, right, with the kids. And so, yeah, I absolutely agree with that, Shantae. I love that.
And to add to Chante's point is, as a mother, I want to say that I used to kind of like dictate my children what they wear, and they always see that I put myself together, right? And I obviously want them to care about their appearance, but when you show up in your own life as you enjoy this, you don't have to worry about the kids picking up wrong habits. Like my children, like when we say it's time we're going out to dinner, like they get dressed really nicely right away. And like my daughter's always offers me help. Like, how can I help you, Mom? Because I tell her, I'm like, Mila, these clothes or me taking care of me makes me feel good, and when I feel good, I show up better for you, for the people that I work with, for our friends, and that's the most important. Because if you roll out of bed and you're just kind of whatever, that's how your day is going to be. It's going to be whatever. Do you want to have whatever happen for you, or do you want to have an intentional life? And having those conversations with my children is so powerful, because they're a mere reflection. So when I'm having a blah day or a moment, my daughter starts spilling out back to me, Mom, why don't you go, change your outfit and try something else, and just she starts coaching me, which is so funny. So
Well, and we're at the top of the hour too, so I want to reset the room. This is Closers Club. We do it every Wednesday. If you haven't already, I highly suggest that you follow our moderators and people on stage, and even people in the audience. Take a look at their profiles on Clubhouse. Take a look at their Instagrams and Facebooks, and see if you can make connections and make success part of your guys' playbook together, because it's really a team effort. The thing I want to talk about in specific, a lot of people say, well, how do you get your wardrobe started? So here's an acronym that I tell a lot of my clients. It's called CFQF. And what that stands for when you're putting together your wardrobe is C stands for color. And there are actually three colors that are most imprinting and exciting for the human mind when you look at a guy or a girl. So think of your own closet and see what is hitting on these things. The first and most powerful color in business or personal success is black. So think about what you have that's black as far as suits, blouses, shirts, etc. The second is white. And white is one of those tough colors because there's different shades of white. It makes us look fatter, etc. But it's also the color of purity. So people trust you more, etc. And the third is blue. Blue is a powerful color because it's one of those feel good colors that people look at as someone that can be trusted. So think of your wardrobe when it comes to that: black, white, blue. Solids are always more powerful than patterns. And you want to create simplicity in your wardrobe, similar to what Justin talked about, because it's going to be easier for you to get dressed in the morning. Anyone want to add to that before I continue?
What about red?
Red. Okay, here's a good question. That's a good question. So red is the color of passion, right? So as a woman wearing red, what that does in a man's mind is it connotes passion and sex. So that's a powerful color. So when you wear red, understand that red is connoting power and passion in your life. And that's okay if that's what you're going with. But red is probably the most cardinal color in the spectrum. So keep that in mind. Black, white, blue doesn't offend. Red is powerful, so own it if that's important to you.
Yeah, I mean, it was something that I had to grow into because every time I wore red, more doors opened in my life professionally. And it's I wrestled with it because I didn't want that attention and that power and exactly what you just said. And it just more green lights were happening with that color, and I had to embrace it. I was resisting it, but I do totally understand the black. I have a ton of black. That's just such a signature color to like. I could always, like, anywhere I'm going, black always works.
For sure, it's a timeless color. I mean, you look back, you want to have really good style. One of the things I teach my clients is something called follow the stars. And what I mean by that is look back in history. What are some of the fashion icons of not only this era, but eras in the past, 40s, 50s, 60s, etc. And look at people that you look up to and maybe want to emulate or become, and look at what they wore. A lot of the most successful people of the last 50 years didn't dress like shit when they tried to accomplish their goals. So follow them and say, Alfonso,
in other words, dress like Jesus.
You can dress like Jesus, but that's a little far back. The wardrobe style was a little different back then.
Hey, I want to jump on. Thank you, Michael, for bringing me up. It has to do with the color, and then also I think one thing that's kind of overlooked, and it jumped in. You guys started really drilling down more about the words being used, but that whole saying "dress for success" can really confuse individuals, especially when they don't have their confidence. They will think that they have to buy and dress a certain way that, to Justin's point, isn't comfortable for them. So what I found is I always wanted to reach a level of success that I was able to wear whatever the heck I wanted as long as I brought substance. And I then correlated that into the colors. So I would teach ethics classes for high-end insurance brokers down on Michigan Avenue. I'm young, they're old, they think I know nothing. I would dress then in something that made me comfortable, but with the correlating colors, blue or black. Blue for the trust, black for a little of the power and the trust as well. So the things you're saying are dead on, but it's to Justin's point as well of it has to fit your style. You have to be comfortable to present your best self. And some other people have said the same thing and agreed, and it's the words. I teach my kids what words we use really matter. Don't say I hope, say I will. You know, and the same thing with like this aspect. It's the dress doesn't make you, you make the dress. So you got to be comfortable, and then you can layer it with the colors to really boost up your confidence and then come with substance, and you'll be the whole package.
That's 100% accurate. Dead on, Brian. And one of the things I would also say is you want a cathartic moment, girls or guys, take the weekend and look in your closet and take everything out of your closet out and put it in 3 different categories. Have to have it, like it, or get rid of it. You'll probably get rid of half of your wardrobe because you never wear it and or it makes you feel not the best about yourself. And so, like Brian said, Justin, Jules, Suzanne, Alfonso, you got to feel good in what you wear. It has to be a reflection of your personality, and only you can decide that for yourself. But it starts with mindset and also the body intake that we already described. Anyone want to jump in?
I want to jump in real quick too. I think one thing that you said was about, maybe not having the money to buy that expensive outfit. And nowadays, like, you can literally go to Target or Ross or any Walmart for that matter, and their clothes are just as trendy as the designer clothes. They're knocking it off from Chanel down to Target
As
prices.
the t-shirt and jeans.
Exactly. I mean, nobody knows. And that would be, I think that would be my one suggestion is when you're really getting started, if you can't afford to have a nice wardrobe, an quote unquote expensive wardrobe, is maybe invest in a nice pair of jeans. Nobody knows if you're wearing the same pair of jeans every day. They don't need to be washed every day. Invest in a nice belt. And going to a resale store, you can find all of that. Get a designer pair of shoes, honestly, just a clean, hip pair of shoes. People notice that. If you are on trend, looking put together, that's all people notice.
The other thing I would say too is you can buy like pieces that you will have for the next 10, 20, 30 years of your life. I mean,
That
for
is
me, I went through a suit phase, and instead of buying suits that I didn't want, I bought an Armani full black suit. I bought Hugo Boss suits. And what I realized was it wasn't how much I paid, because if I were to have this for 20 or 30 years, it's a great investment. So buy pieces that you're going to have for the rest of your life and save up towards
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Spend your money on those classic pieces that you'll have for forever, and don't spend your money on the really super trendy things.
Anyone else want to jump in before we move to the last and most important topic?
I mean, it's like your appearance and what you're pulling up in, and that's practically your office. Like, you don't want to have a sloppy put together office when people walk in. This is our office. Like, we're moving around. What they see is their first impression. So it doesn't have to be expensive, crazy stuff. Just be clean, put together. Stick to those black, white, blue colors and keep it simple. If you have the same outfit to wear, it takes that stress off another decision. So, put it together, have that as your uniform, and it can relieve a lot of stress, actually. So
it's like cleanliness is next to godliness, right? One of the biggest things my client always said, I don't look at a guy's car when I start dating him. I don't care what brand it is. I care how clean he keeps it. And I said, interesting, because that's going to connote his personality traits, no matter how much money or esteem or whatever they have. I said, that's a good point, actually. So being clean and put together is definitely huge. But I want to move and shift into probably the most important topic for today. Flash your mics if you guys like this. I'm curious. Awesome. The last thing I want to talk about, which we've already kind of delved into, is culture and etiquette. Like, how do you craft your story changes the trajectory of your life, right? So the most important thing I want to leave you guys with today when it comes to creating your own success playbook is, what story are you telling yourself, and what story are you connoting and delivering to others? Maya Angelou had another great quote that I want to share with you guys. I've learned that people will forget what you've said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And feeling comes from the power of your story, the story that you tell yourself and the story that you tell others. So one of the things I want to do is go around. Anyone have like a 10 to 15-second elevator pitch when people ask the most important question, what do you do? How do you guys respond? I'm curious. Alfonso?
So I usually just say, hey, I'm a creator of wealth. I bring good energy, and everybody that I surround myself with, I bring the value. That's all I do. I tell them I got 46 years of value. You want it or not?
Suzanne?
Well, I tell them I'm a realtor. What can I say?
Well, and this is something we talked about before too, because one of the biggest questions that's going to impact your lives more than you guys know is the first question a stranger asks you. And that question is, what do you do? They're not asking you literally, what do you do? They're asking you, why should I know this person? And when you understand that question, you're really going to start to understand how to craft your story. Why should I know you as a person?
Well, and I always say, well, so it's not always about a profession, but I say I'm a realtor and I'm a recruiter. And they say, recruiter? I said, yes, I recruit real estate agents to a company. God, what is that all about? And it always opens up a conversation. It's kind of fun.
Well, 100%. And so these are three takeaways I want to leave you guys with too. That one of the biggest questions I get asked from my clients is, what makes someone seem interesting and polished, right? What makes someone the life of the room? We all walk into a room and we're like, wow, that guy or girl really has their what together, right? And the first thing seems so obvious, but it's something that we don't think about when we interact with people. And the first thing, I want you guys to write this down, is you have to genuinely care about someone other than yourself. That authenticity in helping people will definitely be portrayed in the way that you interact with others. Anyone want to jump in on that?
Well, I put on my signature line that I help agents succeed, and I think that is such a powerful line, and it's a great draw. And also, I think when you meet people, the most important thing is to have a smile on your face.
100%. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Yeah, you talked about being the life of the party or the guy that walks in and everybody. It's usually the guy that's the giver, and and you'll see like every time bring up BC because BC comes into a room like he just attention goes to him because he's a giver. The guy's a giver, and that's why I'm a big fan of bculhane, and it's all about energy. Giver makes you feel good, endorphins. So it's a high he's on just to help others.
I think it's also passion. I think when people can feel that where you're coming from is authentic, it's not about making money and getting something from somebody. When they feel like what you're doing is authentically true to you and you are there to help and motivate and inspire, that attracts people.
100%.
And so here are some things that you guys might want to take away. So some of the things I get is, okay, if I'm not the life of the room, what are some things that I can implement in my life to become that person? And one of the things I always say is, you always know someone that's truly confident in themselves because they're slow, deliberate, and confident in their gestures. Someone making all the noise and saying, look at me, I'm so wonderful, is usually the most insecure person in the room. And the second thing you can always look at too is become a great listener. Listen to what people have to say, because people love hearing themselves talk, right? They want to share everything with you. And if you're a great listener and you're adding value to their perspective, they're going to think, wow, this person's really exciting and amazing. Anyone had anything like that relates?
No, absolutely. I just kind of want to touch on that, Michael, because to be honest with you, I tell new agents all the time when they're working on their sphere, they're trying to work new clients and stuff. I say, hey, don't talk about yourself, right? Ask them about them, because if there's one subject that any person knows is themselves, right? And if you seem interested in what they are or who they are or where they work, they'll talk to you for 40 minutes. And then all of a sudden it becomes, man, I really like this guy, man. He's just he wants to hear my story. You know what I mean? And so people know themselves and they love to talk about themselves, like you said. So always be quiet and ask them about themselves, because they'll talk for 45 minutes.
100%. Anyone else want to jump in before I move on?
Yeah, just, I mean, that's 100% right, Justin. Like, you have a person who, you know, through the conversation is talking about themselves the entire time, and you're just listening. They're going to walk away from that saying, man, that was a great conversation. Oh, that was so great, even though they were the ones talking the entire time.
100%. Yeah. So one of the acronyms that Suzanne actually touched upon, but another acronym that you guys might want to remember, especially in sales or in attraction. This is definitely relevant in your personal life too, if you're single or married or what have you. Is the acronym CAR, C-A-R. And C stands for conduct. So when you hear that word like conduct, what does that mean? Well, what it means, it's the manner in which a person behaves, right? You have to know at all times how your behavior is reflecting back in the energy in which people are seeing you, right? And some of the ways that you can conduct yourself positively with clients or friends, or with your loved one, is you eliminate a lot of the distractions. A lot of stress in our lives creates frenetic energy, which in turn we talked about earlier, people adopt, and they're like, whoa, this person is all over the place. The second thing we talk about is grooming. If your hands are washed, you're in the right mindset, you're looking sharp, you're feeling good, and it's a reflection of your personality, then you're going to be in the best way as far as conduct. And last but not least, this sounds so remedial, but be prompt. I mean, make it a point to arrive 5 to 10 minutes early to every appointment. And if you're late, make sure to call them, make sure to apologize, and really understand that people's time is very important, and you want to treat others, how you want to be treated. But Suzanne talked about one of the things that I always say is, how do your actions speak louder than words? And here are some golden nuggets for action, because the second is, first is conduct. The A in CAR stands for action. And the easiest action, which Suzanne touched upon, which is so powerful with people, it's the universal playbook of acceptance and happiness, and that's smile. It sounds so simple, but so few people actually smile when they're around other people. Anyone want to jump in? I heard a mic come off.
Yeah, that was me. That was Bobby. This is great stuff, and it comes from being a leader. If you want to be the attraction in the room, people follow leaders. I go to one of the largest churches in America, and the pastor's Chris Hodges. He says the exact same thing you said, is about people will never remember the sermon, will never remember what you say. They always remember how you feel. He's also best friends with John Maxwell, who's known as the number one leader in the world. And a lot of these things that are being said is from the number one leadership book in my mind in the world, is How to Win Friends and Influence People. And to Suzanne's point, people will mirror what you do. Try it. If you're standing in front of somebody and you smile, they're going to smile back at you. If you frown, they're going to frown. People mirror. If you scratch your head, a lot of times they're going to scratch your head. So to be a leader is to, present yourself in a pleasing way. Be confident, like you said. Be slow, and to your point earlier about mindset. It all starts with that. It's being mentally tough, physically tough, spiritually tough, taking yourself outside your comfort zone, and people see that and they're attracted to it. So yeah, great stuff today, Alonzo. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Well, the next thing is, which we already talked upon, and I think a lot of people in Closers Club understand this, is you have to be engaging. You have to deliver great eye contact, ask questions, and most importantly, listen attentively. We all have these gifts that we want to share with others, and all people want is to be acknowledged for their gifts that they have to share. And the third thing I would say is, this is probably the most important, and I think this is what BC and what Brian does so well, is you have to radiate positivity. I mean, think about how many people live their lives with a Debbie Downer victim mentality. Talk about magnetic attraction. I mean, that is the true dynamic of repelling or attracting in life. Someone want to jump in?
I have to hit on that too a little bit because it's self-pity. Nobody, like Brian says all the time, nobody wants to hear the pity story. I mean, you have to have good self-talk. You know, if you're, I'm snake bit, I can't win for losing. I'm having a bad. It all begins with self-talk, and people don't want to be around negativity. Period.
100%. Yeah.
That is very, very true. I have 5 kids, and I'm raising them on my own. So, the second that they start saying, well, I just can't do it because I'm not smart enough, that's when I start telling them, no, get over there, start doing your affirmations. The positivity is a huge thing. And just to kind of touch on the conducting yourself part, everything that we do, our kids watch that. They watch everything we do. And, if we see them out there and people are giving you, compliments about how your kids are and their behavior, or, how helpful they are, or if they're giving you, calling you and telling you, hey, your kid's doing this and complaining about you. I mean, you can kind of see some of that behavior coming off from your own conduct as well. So I think that's also a huge part of it.
Well, and then last but not least, before we open it up to like closing questions for everyone, this is an important one. So CAR obviously stands for C stands for conduct, A stands for action, and then last but not least, the R stands for reaction. And that is probably the most important thing people don't think about. You want to react in a successful way, there's 3 things that you have to implement in your life. Number 1, do your best not to raise your voice. And I say that because it's imperative, because everyone's in an emotional state, right? If you're sad, if you're mad, if you're glad, if you're pissed off at your client, don't scold or yell at someone because it just throws lighter fluid on the fire. The next thing I would say is do not become defensive or interject. It says something, you can say something like, I don't agree with what you're saying, but you do it in a way that's calm, that's collected, that embodies a lot of those things, that we talked about. And then one of the things, I like to study really successful people. And I noticed some of the most successful people do this third thing that a lot of people do is just because you don't agree with someone, it's okay. But they reserve judgment for a later time. Think about that. Reserve judgment for a later time. No one wants to be corrected. No one wants to be scolded. No one wants to be put down. But it's interesting when you look at human emotion and you think about, well, I don't really agree with this person. You can do that in a way that best reflects your manners and the positivity in which you engage yourself. And that's kind of what I want to leave you the guys. Yep.
Hey, Michael. So, one of the things, obviously, that we coming full circle with some of the discussion we have, if you are in a healthy mindset and healthy body and feel good and having the high vibration on your days, when you have conflict, you are a lot easier. It's a lot easier for you to handle that in understanding the other person is reacting because of our conditioning, the environments that we've had, the situations we've been exposed to. We react because of the lens in which we view the world. And when you have a conflict and you have like a interaction that's not pleasing, and you're healthy in your mind, you are able to realize in that moment, all right, well, I'm reacting this way because of my past experience. They are reacting that way because of their past experience. And we both can fully believe that we are doing the best that we can, or our answer is right. But when you have that ability to look on the other side of the coin and realize that whatever argument or jerky client or whatever the case may be, we're all products of our conditioning, and we are doing the best with what we can. And I think when you have that perspective, conflict feels a lot less heavy, and you're able to work towards a greater goal and realizing they're upset because of what they've been experienced before. Something in this situation has triggered a past experience that they may have had, and when we're able to have that understanding, you humanize the other person, really, and you're more willing to see why they are the way they are, and you're not taking it personally, because everyone's reaction is says more about them than it does on you. And I think if we can approach the conflicts and all of the interactions that we have that may not be pleasant with that understanding, it makes it feel a lot easier to navigate through those to a common solution, and then you don't put their emotions onto you. And I think that the mindset plays a huge part of that.
Yeah, there's a power in empathy. And like you said, understanding what the other person's side is like, even if you don't agree with it. There's power in knowing where they're coming from and understanding why they think the way that they think. You hit the nail on the head. So we got about 3 to 4 minutes left. Anyone have any questions they want to ask any of the moderators? Maybe you guys want to ask Jules a question, and then I'll leave us with our parting thoughts.
Michael, you did a great job. The value that you brought to the room today, very, very, very important. And I learned so much, and your delivery was amazing. It resonated with me, and I'm certain with everybody that's here. I'm sure everybody can agree. Thank you so much for the information.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you so much, Michael. I took a lot of notes. You're the man. You're the man.
Well, thank you. And my
Alfonso,
clients pay me big bucks for this, but I want to see all you guys succeed. And then the truth is this, to kind of wrap up, as far as what it is to create your own success playbook. I'll leave you with a quote that really resonated with me. A mentor of mine once said, "You're never the best version of yourself you want to be. Rather, you are the lowest version of yourself you're willing to accept." Think about that. And the question I want you guys to ask yourself is, what will you accept in your life? And if you accept greatness, you will be great. And that's what I want to leave you with. So Closers Club out. You guys are wonderful. Look forward to the next one. Have a productive week. Take care, guys.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Michael.
Michael. Have a great day, guys. Crush it.
Have a good one.
Thank you.